A day of serendipity. The day began softly, with the first rays of sunlight gently nudging me awake. My alarm clock buzzed faintly, more of a suggestion than a demand. I stretched slowly, feeling the slight ache in my muscles from the week's work, but there was no rush today. It was a Saturday, a day free from obligations. I lingered in bed, letting the warmth of the blankets wrap around me like a comforting embrace. Eventually, I slipped out of bed, my feet finding the cool wooden floor. The house was still and quiet, a serene contrast to the busy streets outside. As I moved into the kitchen, the smell of freshly brewed coffee soon filled the air, mingling with the faint scent of jasmine from the plant on the windowsill. I poured myself a cup and leaned against the counter, savoring the first sip. It was rich, slightly bitter, just the way I liked it. The steam rose from the mug, curling into the morning light that streamed through the window, casting long golden shadows across the room. After breakfast, a simple bowl of yogurt topped with honey and granola, I decided to take a walk to clear my mind. The air was crisp as I stepped outside, with a hint of autumn in the breeze. I pulled my jacket a little tighter around me, setting off down the street. The trees were just beginning to turn, their leaves a patchwork of green, yellow, and orange. The crunch of gravel beneath my shoes was a soothing sound, blending with the distant chatter of birds. The park wasn't far, and as I entered, the familiar sights and sounds greeted me like an old friend. There were a few families out, children laughing as they chased each other around the playground, their joy infectious. I wandered down a path lined with benches, each one occupied by someone lost in their own world, reading, chatting, or simply sitting in contemplation. I chose a bench near the pond, where the water mirrored the sky in perfect stillness, broken only by the gentle ripples from a pair of ducks gliding across. I sat there for a while, just observing, letting my thoughts drift. There was something deeply soothing about the simplicity of it all. The rustle of leaves, the distant hum of traffic, the soft quacks of the ducks. It was a moment of pure peace, a small pocket of tranquility in the midst of life's chaos. Eventually, I pulled myself away and continued my walk, stopping by the local bookstore on my way home. The bookstore was a small, cozy place, with creaky wooden floors and shelves that reached the ceiling, packed with books of every kind. I could have spent hours there, running my fingers over the spines, picking up random titles to read the first few pages. One book in particular caught my eye, a novel with a beautifully illustrated cover and an intriguing title. It was a story I hadn't heard of before, but something about it felt right, like finding a hidden treasure. I purchased it, feeling a quiet thrill at the thought of diving into its world later. Lunch was at a small cafe I often visited. It was tucked away on a quiet side street, a little haven where I could watch the world go by without being disturbed. The staff knew me by now, greeting me with a warm smile as I ordered my usual, a turkey and avocado sandwich with a side of crisp golden fries. I took my seat by the window, the perfect spot for people watching. The cafe was bustling with the lunchtime crowd, but outside the street was calm, with only the occasional passerby. I watched as an elderly couple strolled by, hand in hand, their pace slow but steady, and I couldn't help but smile at the sight. The afternoon was spent in the company of a dear friend. We hadn't seen each other in a while, and the excitement of the reunion was palpable. The conversation flowed easily, as it always did with this friend, moving effortlessly from light-hearted banter to deeper reflections. We laughed until our sides hurt, reminiscing about old times, sharing stories of the past few weeks, and making plans for future adventures. It was the kind of connection that felt effortless, a reminder of the importance of good friends in my life. As the sun began to set, casting the sky in hues of pink and orange, I made my way back home. The walk was slower this time, the weight of the day's contentment settling in. The streets were quieter now, the world winding down for the night. Once home, I cooked a simple pasta dish, rich with garlic and olive oil, and paired it with a glass of red wine. The meal was unhurried, savoured slowly as I reflected on the day. Finally, with the night fully upon me, I curled up on the couch with the book from the bookstore. The world outside faded as I lost myself in the story, the words on the page pulling me into another time, another place. The hours slipped away unnoticed until the book began to slip from my hands, my eyes heavy with sleep. The day ended as it had begun, in peaceful quiet. As I lay in bed, drifting off, I felt a deep sense of contentment. It had been a day of small joys and simple pleasures, a day where everything felt just right. And as sleep finally claimed me, I couldn't help but think how perfect it all had been. A day of serendipity, a day to remember